Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Alaikum salam.
So, warmly welcome. Warmly welcome for day 2, mashallah, for NEBOSH IGC. And since yesterday, we have discussed a lot of things about the first element, but second element is all about management systems. So I thought, why can't we think as a businessman today? Imagine we all have separate companies. Someone having construction company, someone in mining, someone having oil and gas rig side, and we all have our own companies. Now the key challenge is how we gonna establish our management system, for all the processes and activities, or even materials or equipments, even the system for our suppliers, even training system for our employees, some kind of overall policies and procedures to make sure our regulations are quite clear in front of all the stakeholders. So I truly need your opinion as a businessman now. Just you started a company, and you surely have to develop a management system for that business. So what would be our first step actually, before even we start establishing the management system? I'm not talking about only for safety. Let's discuss first of all the broader picture of our businesses. What would be your first step in establishing management system? Any kind of, it can be waste management system, it can be quality management system, it can be safety management system, environmental management system. If you have a food company, maybe food management system, So what would be our first step actually? That is my question.
You need to check the regulation in that country.
Okay, so the first thing is, what are the regulations relevant to my business first of all? Overall generic regulations, of course, will be there, but relevant to my scope of business or the nature of business, what regulations I truly have to comply with? Excellent, mashallah. Anything else, please? What would be our second step? Any voluntarily, anything coming in your mind as a businessman? Because after all, you don't want to see any issues from the government side, from your customer side, even internally, I truly appreciate the first comment, like we must verify and double check what are the legal requirements relevant to my business, which I truly have to comply with.
طيب يا Doctor, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm speaking since long time, Allah, but maybe I have a connection issue.
Okay.
Yeah, so the first thing that we mentioned about the government requirement and regulation, and we need to check about the place that we are owning. So because some of the places they have, let's talk about the waste, for example, because there is some requirement for such places. Which kind of waste we have? Is it general waste? Is it municipal waste? Is it hazardous waste? Yeah. So we need to build in this one based on that, and we need to have the proper storage for that and proper process of handling for such waste.
That means you will do environmental study of your project, how you will be impacting to air or land or underwater, resources.
Absolutely,
Will
absolutely.
be impacting. Excellent, mashallah. I love your comments. Excellent, mashallah. Yeah, this is a way actually, because I told you now, yes, as a businessman, we have right to make money, but not by killing people, not by damaging the environment, or even I would say the assets of our company. We don't want to see any losses, right? Brilliant, mashallah. And that is why if you are going to get any land from Saudi government, maybe you want to establish a manufacturing company, the first thing they will ask surely the environmental study of that land. And that environmental study should be done by accredited bodies, third party companies like STS is there, plenty of other, like Intertech, TUV, they also providing such kind of services. They will just give you environmental study of that land. And this is the foundational first documented requirement from the government side before even they allow you to go for this project. Excellent, mashallah. So that means as per NEBOSH actually, even doing all these things, they want first of all to establish a plan. Whatever things are required in steps, it must be integrated in shape of plan actually. So that's what any kind of management system, any type of, I would say, even as per any international standard, the first thing we have to create and develop a comprehensive plan actually. That's why we have a business plan. That is why we have, quality plan. That is why we have safety management plans and so many things, right? So the plan is the first one. Now here we can a little bit think a little deeper. How many types of plans we have in our business? How many types of plans are there? Let's take an example of your HSC department. Have you ever noticed how many types of plans are there? Can we list up in the chat box? Types of plans in our HSC department. Any plans coming in your mind, or you have in Excel, you have in any shape, just let's list up the title, different types of plans, of course, we establish. And sometimes we don't have a log sheet, like kind of a master sheet of HSC plans. Okay, so like we got one comment, we have a plan to setting our goals. And we have short-term plans. Okay. And you have mid-term plans. And indeed, long-term, Now, if somebody asks, suppose I'm coming to Siddharth as an auditor, and I ask you, what is your HSC plan for next 5 years? Do you have it right today? As per 2030 vision, have you established some plans, and out of this, do you have your HSC plan for next 5 years? Because we have plenty of requirements, from our, not only from the government side, because government, of course, is a foundational, nobody can violate, even dare to violate. But on the other side, we get a lot of requirements from our customer side, and they always say, share with us your HSC plan, share with us your project plan, share with us your HIP plan, like hazard identification plan, share with us your training plan, your internal auditing plan, So they ask us so many documentation in shape of plans, first of all. Yes, emergency response plan, like Abdul Aziz mashallah mentioned, Excellent. So no harm to prepare master list of plans. Now, let's talk about different kind of master list, which will make our life easier as a HSC professional. How many types of master list must be with us actually to manage every nook and corner of our companies or our projects or any activities or processes? Let's take an example of master list of machines within your company or at your project. Do you have it? And belong to this machines, Do you have list of chemicals or list of lubricants what we're gonna use within these machines? Now these machines are going to be used, operated by our employees. Do you have list of employees or the machine operators, you know? Yes, this certificate, you know, ISO 45001. Yes, of course we can have it, and we can put in our plan. Oh, this is our next certification plans. I mean, we are going to certify our company or a business for ISO 45001 occupational health and safety management system. And every system, first of all, require a solid plan. And this plan, we can't prepare until we have bonanza of data available with us, a lot of informations, you know, and then we can make this plan more productive. Like, let's take an example of CSE plan, you know, confined space entry plan. So plenty of things you have to put into this plan, so nothing would go wrong, you know, while our guys are working inside the confined space. So master list of machines, master list of operators or employees, master list of chemicals, master list of fire extinguishers, even master list of your everything, your ACs. I mean, whatever is placed within your company, have a master list. And remember my words, don't ignore their shelf life. I repeat again, have all the master list, but don't ignore every item's shelf life. What is the expiry date of that machine? What is the expiry date of that chemical? And the same way, from the finance and accounts department, you can get a list of assets, you know, and they can give you a full detail. This asset is purchased for next 10 years. This machine will be used for next 20 years. Yes, in condition with proper maintenance, regular or preventive maintenance actually. Then we can secure the shelf life. Otherwise, machine will be no more, maybe within 5 or 10 years, while you invested for 20 years. So if you invested money for 20 years and the machine is no more within 10 years, that means it's a 10 years loss. And that is why sometimes the businesses are closed, you know, because shareholders, or the investors, they don't want to give more money because they invested for next 20 years. And you, because of your poor safety management system, you demolished their assets, which were the backbone of their business, within 5 or 10 years. And that is why a lot of fighting you will see between investors or shareholders, and you know, and that's why several businesses are being closed, you know. And later on, they surely realize safety is important. What I mean is, if you get all these informations, then it would be easy for you to prepare different plans. Either it's a HSE plan, it's a training plan, it's, you know, whatever type of plans you want to prepare, it would be quite easier if the data is there. You know much, much better than anyone else about your business. So more deeper you have information about your business, more easier it would be for you to prepare the plan. That's why the NEBOSH theories, they start with PDCA. They start with PDCA. Plan, do, check, act. Plan, do, check, act. And I hope you have heard this word PDCA. And it's not like only for the businesses. Even in our personal life, we can apply this important tool, PDCA, you know. Plan, do, check, act. Plan means what you are going to do. You are going to start a business. So where is your business plan? You are going to establish a HSE system. So where is your HSE plan? You are going to develop a quality management system. So where is your quality plan then? Or implementation plan, you know, for all these standards even. Because plan is a direction, guys. It gives you stepwise guidance What is step number 1, step number 2, who will do it, when it will be done, and and what is the actual date of completion. Even within that plan you incorporate in future, so double check that the plan dates are well achieved also, because based on your plan you will be performing certain things. Now planning, replanning, again and again planning, that is a big junky area of several businesses, and they are facing a lot of issues because of poor planning. Because for planning means you need a productive planner. Okay, let me give you one more opportunity. If you polish up your skills and you publish your brand that you are the best business planner, then start your own business, maybe tomorrow even. And don't leave your job, just be a business planner for the business community people. If I'm investing $100 million, I have no problem to pay you maybe $3,000 or maybe $5,000, just to finalize my plan, business plan. So just towards scale and see how business community will be supporting you, inshallah. So planning means we need a productive, better planner. That is why the highly qualified people are being hired, or the business advisors, or the people who are having very critical analytical approaches to prepare better plans for businesses. And we should never start a business without a plan, by the way. And the same way, if you are establishing occupational health and safety management system, so prepare a plan. And once your plan is finalized, approved by the top management, because you need their commitment. Plan means investment also. So make sure it is developed by yourself, discussed with all the team members, all the departments. You got acceptability rating from everywhere, and then you share with your top management, and they also acknowledge and sign. That means now everybody is bound to follow this plan. So once your plan is finalized, now do it and try it, implement. And remember, we can't implement without proper trainings, proper communication, internal, external communication. And the way of communication now is becoming more easier because of new technologies, because of easy, translation of languages. Even you take a picture and it's translated, either it's written in Arabic, you can easily see what is the meaning in English. So a lot of apps are there. So it's becoming more easier, but still a lot of barriers. Like if you have 22 different nationalities and the same plan you want to implement everywhere, communication would be a big challenge. So, but anyhow, according to the plan, you have to do the things. If the plan is saying you need to develop the safety policy or HSE policy for your business, develop it and make it time bound. In the plan, the timeline or deadline is there. So make sure you achieve that, because I personally noted in several companies, they have plan, but they simply damn care about their deadlines, because what they believe is there is a flexibility, things can go up and down. So 1 week delay or 2 weeks delay is not a problem. There is a problem, because if you don't implement your plan effectively, the overall business will be badly affecting actually. So that's not a good approach for sure. Otherwise, why you planned it? If you want to put that flexibility, put already in the plan, and have pros and cons, how things can go out of the way. Like you got a project plan for after getting a project for Saudi Aramco, and now there are penalty clauses. There are penalty clauses for each element. Okay, you have to do this activity or process or project within these particular weeks or days, and after that, every day you start punching with some penalties or some sort of fines, I would say. And once you are implementing your plan, now your skill set is pretty important, especially if you're a businessman. Your commitment is so much important, otherwise nobody would care. And if you are a safety manager, then it's becoming more operational. That means you have to get involved at every stage and make sure the plan is implementing the way our management is expecting, and even as per our customer, And once you done and implement your plan, now this is the time to audit, to inspect, to verify that our plan or our implementation is still being continued. Okay, let me be more straightforward. Implementation is quite easier. I can do it maybe overnight. I can improve so many things within 1 week might be. But maintainability and sustainability, both are huge challenges. Improving things overnight is becoming more easier, but maintaining them and keeping them sustainable all the time, every second, every day, and making your quality or safety your habit, of course, it's required a lot of hard work, a lot of consistency, and of course, cooperation from janitor to general manager. But yes, monitoring, checking, of course, is pretty important. That's why you do surprise audits, surprise visits, you do certain daily inspections, you have weekly inspections, you have monthly inspections, and you visit every nook and corner of the company. And nobody can say that, oh, this is not relevant to you. Everything is relevant to HSE. Even if you're buying a chair, the PO, the specs must be approved by the safety and quality department before even purchasing a chair. I'm talking about office chair, And then once you're gonna check and monitoring or having inspections or audits, you will definitely find some gaps. And these gaps, again, you require another plan, corrective action plan. That's why the fourth word is act. You have to act. You have to, find out the opportunities, how you can improve further. So this corrective preventive action plans, according to the gap analysis or the non-conformances or observations or opportunities for improvement, which is more positive, instead of writing negative words, we can change with opportunities for further improvement and then move on and take some actions. And again, planning. So you update your plan, you move on, you do it, you check, and then you act also. And this basic foundational tool is for every sort of management system. Even a security management system is there. Even information technology, management system is there. Business continuity management system is there. Any sort of management system you require PDCA to be followed. Yes. Any questions so far? Any question or any comments or any experience you want to share? How do you plan actually? Okay, so, but please don't forget it, because might be in the scenario, they will talk about PDCA, or they will talk about the foundational requirement of occupational health and safety management system. And then might be, if you get a plan word there, so then surely you have to remember, oh, PDCA is the foundation of all the occupation, all the management systems. So the company didn't follow, or the company have followed PDCA cycle, which is a good approach since they establish the health and safety management system here. Now, as per ILO, OS 2001, ILO has this standard, the ILO Occupational Health Safety Management System. What they are guiding, make sure you have first of all the policy, then organizing, planning and implementation, and also evaluate through data and make sure it is being well done, and actions for improvement. And all the five phases of system must be audited. So we have information links and we have control links. whatever steps we are implementing, later on we need effective controls to put in place, So several times I noted, if whenever they talk about, okay, how you would have the management establish the right occupational health and safety management system. Are you happy with that? Or are you satisfied with this approach? They are asking in the scenario even sometime. So what we say in line with the scenario, organizing was missing because company directly went for the policy, and after policy they started implementation. They didn't organize. So what I mean is, in the scenario, you are not supposed to agree everything openly. If any debating point is there which is not in line with the NEBOSH theories or in line with ILO standards or OSHA regulations or any as per your research, even go for debate. That's why NEBOSH have started this open book exam. And to be very honest, it is giving more better knowledge and experience to the people. Otherwise, what we the trainers were doing, we were just, all the presentations delivered, questions are told, list of questions and answers are given, and story finished. But now we are talking about, we are sharing a lot of experience wherever we worked as a, or any project. We discuss case studies and scenarios. Previously, that was not the practice. Just slide by slide, like a book reading, and move on. And you also have standardized questions and answers, and you have options either to clear your logics or just to memorize the words and move on and pass the exam. But now it is becoming more practical, which I personally like so much. But anyhow, there are some gaps for sure, because market is not taking it honestly, actually. Like mostly Saudis, sometimes, they try their level best not to do so much hard work. Oh, we have 24 hours. We will search on the same day and we'll complete our answers. But of course, it would be difficult. That is why during the training, you have to share your experience to each other. And especially the trainer, he must be experienced now. Previously, whoever is having NEBOSH IGC and NEBOSH IDEF, okay, go and teach NEBOSH. But now, experience is critically important. But as per ILO, see the policy, organizing, planning and implementing, evaluation, action for improvement. Now, I have a question here. Any one of you, if you been hired as a safety manager or is as a safety officer or supervisor, have you ever established a safety policy by yourself? I repeat again, have you established a safety policy? Have you written a safety policy by yourself? Okay, if you didn't write, no problem with that, because sometimes we believe everything is available. So mostly whichever company we join in, mostly the documentation is there, and we started following the same policies and same, we don't think what new laws are there. We don't think what business expansion plans are incorporated already. So might be we need to review that policy and make sure some amendments and upgradation is there. Now, the second question, do you have an understanding what always we mention in a policy? Have you ever studied even for a single time what is written in your safety policy or HSC policy, even of Sadara? Have you studied that document even for a single time, every word? And what commitment you have given, what promises you have, shared through this policy about your business? Have you ever studied even for a single time? I'm talking about. I'm not talking about every day, at least once. Be honest, with your statement. So, because I truly want to encourage you that these documentations are not just a formality. Excellent, we I truly appreciate if you have studied. Now, what mostly we promise in our policy, because it's a foundational framework of our business, and we share this policy with all the stakeholders, all the interested parties, with our customers, regulatory bodies, government bodies, even with our contractors, within the company, with our employees. Even we share with our visitors also, proudly, this is our safety policy. Now, my question is, what is written in your policy? What are the key points, if you can highlight in the chat box? HSC policy key points, if you remember anything. Okay, so the company commitment for their employee and customers safety. We are committed to ensure safety of our employees and our customers and even all the stakeholders, whoever is coming to our business territory. So we are committed to ensure their safety. Excellent, Marshall. Anything else is coming in your mind? Okay, so AB, excellent, mashallah. The regulations to be followed. The regulations, local or international, related to our business, or even will comply customer requirements as well. So what we are doing, we are giving a promise, we are giving a commitment that we will not violate actually the legal regulations as well as international, globally, regulations which are relevant to our business particularly. Like if you are in the shipping and you have different kind of shipping products, of course, GSS and DG, of course, different standards relevant to your industry. And now management system standards definitely are important, but more importance is being given to the product relevant standards, which customers don't want to compromise actually. They surely want us to comply with all the product relevant standards, or the regulations. Excellent. Now, if you are the one going to implement that policy, what would be your key steps? Okay, I personally developed the policy, top management approved it. Now I handed over this policy to you. Please implement within your company. What are you going to do actually? How would you implement that policy? You have a HSE policy already approved. Now you are responsible to implement. How you will implement, Okay, so AP mentioned delivering the training and coaching. Okay, good, great, mashallah. So that means we have to communicate. Yes, Muhammad Al Ghamdi, excellent, mashallah. We have to communicate that policy so that everybody knows, oh, this is the new policy and zero tolerance. Nobody can violate it. And yes, so we can conduct an audit to verify the implementation, that the policy is displayed, is communicated, is understood. We can have employees interviews. We can ask them, do you know what is your HSE policy? Even you can go back and ask your different employees and get the insight, either do they surely understand what is written in their HSE policy and confirm it's applicable to stakeholders. Yes. This policy is a kind of a positive document of your business. So it must be shared with all that's why you will see different kind of policies, even at the websites of the company, in line with their business vision and goals. Excellent, Mr. Abdulaziz, mashallah. Now, what is the policy is kind of a clear statement of commitment to health and safety, and what is organizing is the roles and responsibilities for health and safety at all levels in the organization. Like yesterday we discussed, directors level, then the management along with the supervisory level, and then of course the employees. So roles and responsibilities for health and safety at all levels in the organization. For this reason, whenever we sign any management consulting project, we start from HR. Normally HR says, oh, this is none of our business. But we start working, first of all, with HR. What are we going to tell them? Look, now all new employment letters, employment agreements, you have to clearly mention whoever you hired newly, just double check and mention that statement. You are responsible for your safety. You will not violate any safety regulations within your department or anywhere within the company. Even on the job and off the job, you share with them and you make sure they signed it. And then this is how you ensure their better commitment, because once they will sign, oh, this is part of my, and also they are the newly hired, so the acceptability level is so high. They will respect your regulations instead of ignoring them. But once you ignore that step, within 3 months, they'll be addicted within the same culture, and then they'll not listen you anymore. It would be really hard to convince them again. But yes, by this punishing system like fine policy, but personally, to be very honest, this kind of policy I always mention is a kind of a push policy, while you must have a pull policy that people should respect the safety regulation through your training, through your motivation, instead of punishing them by putting fines or warning letters, or even sometimes terminating them. That's still a sign of failure as a leader, to be very honest, because as a leader we were unable to change them, unable to convince them. That's why no harm to attend some other trainings, as a safety leader. Have you ever attended a training, we call it emotional intelligence? Any one of you, please? Have you ever attended emotional intelligence training? That we have to be emotionally intelligent, so we'll be more capable to handle different type of employees, even different nationalities. Now, have you attended stress management training? Any training related to decision making or effective communication or stress management? These are the soft skills. Or customer service, we think customer service training is always relevant to sales department. No. Customer service training is for everyone, because ultimately, one way or another way, we are dealing with people. So sometimes we are customer of someone. If I'm going to HR manager, I'm the customer of HR manager. If he have attended customer service training, he will take me as a customer instead of dominating me, that I'm the ordinary employee only. I hope you got the point. So whoever is coming to your office, he's your customer. I repeat again, whoever is coming to your office, whoever is coming to you even, is your customer. So how are you gonna deal him? What level of what kind of service you will provide to him? Because that would create your personal professional brand also. So the responsibilities must be clear. Okay, you are responsible to deal with people politely, emotionally, with intelligence actually. Not to be rude, not to be over aggressive, not to dominate them unnecessarily. Because after all, you are also employee, he is also employee. So you both are adding value for the business. And you are going to change your job maybe after 1 year or 2 years, and he will leave maybe after 5 years. But ultimately, you have your certain, different kind of professional career goals actually. What I mean is we don't stay forever, right? We just work for 1-2 years altogether and then move on. That is why this customer service training, I deliver a lot of sessions to Saudi Aramco officials, this customer service. And I was happy they started from the security guards even. They mentioned Ishtiyaq, we start with security guards because they are the front leaders. Guide them properly how to deal, because otherwise if they will deal rudely or with unnecessary aggression, our Aramco brand will be damaging, God forbid. Same way, their HR manager, their safety, quality, even IT profession, they also joined my trainings, in Aramco. Why? Because some way or another, everybody is a service provider. But this kind of trend or mindset, not easy to implement, to be very honest. That's why Aramco started from their side, and now they are, I would say, motivating to their suppliers network to arrange customer service training for all their employees even. So let everybody familiar how to handle whoever is coming to me is my customer. How should I speak to him? How should I entertain him? How should I provide service relevant to his issues? Of course, he's coming with some issues, So if someone is coming with some issues, so we must be problem resolver rather than problem creator. But yes, our Islam already taught us, we have to be polite, especially, and no discrimination. We have to be neutral, especially as a leader. But still, person to person, everybody is different, That's why we start from HR and we tell them, clearly mention, oh, safety is your responsibility. Quality is your responsibility within your area or within your processes. Either you are a crane operator, you are a welder, you are a painter, but you are responsible for what? Safety, quality, and credibility of the company. We can't compromise with these three words, So at all levels in the organization, clear, dedicated roles and responsibilities, especially relevant to health and safety, must be published clearly through employment letters, through agreements, even through meetings, through toolbox meetings, whatever the way you are using there. But make sure everybody understand my safety is my responsibility. If I am the janitor, I must be familiar how to barricade the area. I must be familiar what boards I need to place for communication, that nobody is going to slip or nobody is going to approach that wetty area, If I'm the welder, I must be familiar how to keep people away from my welding process. How am I going to make sure no unnecessary items are within my area or creating fire incident, God forbid. I'll not let anyone to come into my area without PPs. It's not like I'm the welder only. Yes, I'm the welder, but I'm responsible for safety, quality, and credibility of my company actually. And yesterday we discussed what is the importance of credibility. Now, planning and implementing is a detailed arrangement to manage health and safety. We have to do risk assessments. It will help us to understand each activity or processes. And of course, all the hazards we'll list up and we'll mention the risk, and of course rating. And I hope any one of you remember what is the risk formula, risk rating formula. R is equal to what? R is equal to what? Likelihood multiply with consequences, right? And risk assessment, yesterday even I mentioned, as per NEBOSH, I will share one sample with all of you. And the first project you have to complete, you will take your internal risk assessment and you will compare with the NEBOSH risk assessment project, and you will see what is the difference. And these differences from your risk assessment, you need to remove. Not for your company, for your sake, for exam preparation at least, and it will give you an idea practically how you have to prepare or complete risk assessment project as per NEBOSH theories. Now, the next step is evaluation, methods to monitor and review the effectiveness of arrangement. Personally, as a professional, I evaluated in most of the cases if any business is getting lost, or if any process is having more injuries or more accidents. The reason is whatever system you establish and even implement, but effectiveness is missing. It's not implemented effectively. Let's take an example of even our training. Imagine we just spent 10, 12 days, but no effectiveness. We didn't learn anything. We just spent 6 hours every day. I was speaking, you were listening. I don't know either you are listening. Maybe you are physically available in front of me, but mentally, even I don't know. God knows where you are. But still, if we miss that effectiveness, the whole training process is over. No benefit. So in everything, whatever we are performing within our companies, we must measure the effectiveness. If your company have sent you for this NEBOSH IGC training, after 10, 12 days, they should measure your effectiveness. As a professional, how you are going to be more effective as a safety professional. If that effectiveness is not there or missed because of my poor training skills or because of your poor understanding, or might be the carelessness, of course, effectiveness can't be achieved. Like you are giving induction to your upcoming new employees, but effectiveness is missing. You just share some stories and they left. And later on, nobody knows how many types of alarms are there, how many muster points are there, how to use fire extinguisher, where to go in case of emergency, how to call 911. If they have no idea, that means effectiveness is missing. You just got the signatures, spoke a few words, and they left. So any activity of the business, our system must be measuring the effectiveness also. And through this way, we can have detailed analysis about quality, about credibility, about safety of that processing. Because ultimately, everything must be done effectively. Now, audit, evaluation. After evaluation, we can conduct some audit, independent, critical, and systematic review of management system. We'll verify that all the policies are being respected. We'll verify the procedures or SOP, standard operating procedure of each process, is well implemented and being followed even. And no violations. If there are violations, of course, opportunities for improvement, we'll take some actions for improvement for sure. That means steps to correct issues found in the review. And then continual improvement, the safety management system will develop over time. So I repeat again, policy, organizing, planning and implementing, evaluation and action for improvement. As per ILO OSH 2001. Now let's talk about ISO 45001. And anybody remember what is ISO stands for? Even yesterday we discussed. ISO stands for what? What is the abbreviation of ISO? Yes, please. ISO. Because Mr. Muhammad Al Ghamdi mentioned International Organization for Standardization. So now I'm asking, can you just browse and find out the list of ISO standards? List of ISO standards. And you can copy paste, so let everybody understand, how many types of standards are there. So we have realized there is a big list of ISO standards. Now this is our choice. Which international standards we are going to benchmark for our business? Either we'll take ISO 9001-2015 for quality management system, or we'll take ISO 14001-2015 for environmental management system, or we'll go with ISO 45001 occupational health and safety management system. Or we also take some other standards which can also help, like the quality management, like customer satisfaction. Are we going to follow these guidelines also, so it can enhance our customer satisfaction? And plenty of other standards are there. Probably I'll search and share the complete list, inshallah. But anyhow, it's a good way. At least you got the idea why these standards are being established. And let me tell you, in ISO, almost 80 plus countries, they are the technical members, So they will establish every standard for any area or any material or any system, and they will publish provisionally in the market, and they'll get feedback from the market. And once all the stakeholders are satisfied, they'll publish it, even though it's not mandatory. Mandatory in the sense, like, it's not a legal requirement, but if you follow it and you achieve the third-party certification of these standards for your business, of course it will give a lot of value, especially in front of your customers. Because in the bidding requirement, if you have some bidding documentation and requirements from your customer, always they ask, oh, do you have ISO 9001-2015 certification, or 14001 certificate, or ISO 45001 certificate? They will surely ask. And if you say yes, that means you have better credibility. If you say no, they will realize you don't have a structured management system actually. Like, let's take an example of ISO 45001. And this ISO 45001, again, we have 10 clauses within this standard. And the number 4 clause, previous 1, 2, 3 is all about definitions and some introduction. But the real requirements starting from context of the organization. That means clause number 4. And context of the organization means you have to be fully familiar about the nature of your business, the kind of your products, and deep understanding and information related to your business. And all requirements, legal, customer, local or international, all requirements, like someone mentioned, the first Even to start, before we start our planning, we must be familiar what kind of legal standards we need to follow, for our business. So all these things you will study in context of the organization. Then of course you'll move on. Within 4, there is like external and internal issues. As I told, you have to be fully familiar about your company, and for this reason we do SWOT analysis. Now, any one of you have ever done SWOT analysis, or do you have some understanding what is SWOT analysis? SWOT analysis. Any idea to anyone, please? You can speak up or you can mention the chat box. It's up to you. Have you ever done SWOT analysis of any business or any process, or even SWOT analysis of yourself? It's not like only for the businesses, And SWOT analysis, SWOT stands for what? No, this Abdulaziz, this SWOT, you can link this SWOT word with Kaizen management, 5S housekeeping techniques, like SWOT, kind of standardization, and plenty of other 5S are there. But here, SWOT analysis means S stands for strengths, like the strengths of your business, and W stands for weaknesses, and O stands for opportunities, and T stands for the threats. And through these SWOT analysis, you can find out all your internal and external issues also. And sometimes you have
Excuse me, sir. Sorry for interrupt.
Yeah, please.
I just did not get your point. You mean short analysis or soft analysis?
SWOT analysis. SWOT. SWOT.
Can you write it down, because I think it's not clear?
No, I will write. Sure. SWOT analysis means S for strengths. Okay, and W stands for weaknesses. And O stands for opportunities. And the T is stands for threats. Now, through these analyses, you will have a very clear picture about your business, where you are standing. Like, what are your key strengths? Are you financially sound? Do you have qualified people on board? You have, better capacity. That is your strength. You can accept more orders from your customers. Or you have a better goodwill in the market. So whatever your strengths are there, highlight and list up. Put somewhere and make sure they are genuinely true also. Because wrong SWOT analysis means you will not be able to prepare effective improvement plan actually. Then W stands for weaknesses. Write down the weaknesses of your business, internal and external. And one of the terrible weaknesses nowadays businesses are facing, the retention of employees. In my company, people don't stay. That is the terrible issue nowadays. Not with Sadara, not with Saudi Aramco, but still, willingly people leave their businesses, but they don't terminate. The retention is there, or people don't hate their brands. So in that scenario, you have to put everything, in terms of your weaknesses, and make sure honestly you are interpreting that these are the weaknesses of our businesses. Same way the opportunities, you have to convert all your weaknesses into your opportunities. Yes, these are opportunities for further improvement. Or write down your threat. Your threats means you only have one crane operator. If he will got injured, we have no backup. Your threat is you are financially poor, God forbid. Your business required finances because the new order is the customer is asking some insurance and some bank guarantee, but we are not financially sound. This is our threat because we are having a threat. Our competitors are increasing drastically and our market share is going down and down, So there is a threat because of this pandemic, because of this COVID. And that is why, several businesses, they became knee down and almost they finished also. Because might be they never done the SWOT analysis or they don't have any crisis management plan or kind of a contingency management plan to make sure in bad times how they will survive actually. Closing the business is very weak option, to be very honest. But yes, surviving plan if you have, especially for bad times. That is why I discussed yesterday. In bad times, especially during this pandemic, the leadership is exposed. The leaders who were very good leaders in good times, they all are exposed. And you just search how many leadership positions are available as a president, as a vice president, as a CEO, as a managing director. A lot of positions are vacant, because they couldn't prove. And the companies are looking for new leaders who can survive their businesses, especially in bad times, through their effective leadership skills. Because in good times, everybody can be a good leader. But in bad times, that is the real testing time, where someone have to prove that is not going to close the business, even will be more successful. So you must understand your external and internal issues, even the issues from your contractors, issues from your customers, issues you can have from your government side, issues internally, maybe your employees are not satisfied, whatever. Write down and go for further analysis like needs and expectations of your workers and other interested parties. You have to evaluate now what our stakeholders or interested parties are expecting from my business. Ultimately, we are serving, we are resolving the issues, There are problems and we started the business to resolve these problems. There was problem for online trainings. So Zoom solved our problem. So basically the problems are the business opportunities. And if you can provide the solution against these or any of the problem, you are a businessman. You can start your business even right today. Just dig out what problems you can solve in the world or within your own country even. Start your own business. But firstly, evaluate and list up what kind of expectations or needs or problems people are facing or my customers are facing and they are expecting, and your employees are your first most important customers. Basically, they are your first customers. If they are happy, surely they'll keep your external customers happy also. If they are not satisfied, like you guys, mashallah, in safety department, if you are not happy, what improvements Sadara can expect, because you are not happy as a customer. So you will not give your 100% for sure. This is kind of a human nature. But if your expectations are being met, the top management is giving you the good salary, good well-being, all basic facilities, a lot of, different kind of facilities in shape of accommodation, in shape of transportation, even annual bonuses. You will try to give your 100% for sure, because company is fulfilling your expectations. Then ultimately, you will try your level best to give your 100%. But if company is not fulfilling, then of course that gap would be terrible, you know. And it's not like only for the workers, even interested parties. And these interested parties can be the government, can be our customers, can be our contractors, can be the visitors even. What they are expecting, you know, from us. So now everyone is valued, everyone is respectable. That is why the managerial concept gradually is being diminishing, and leadership concept is being published more, you know, that you have to be a role model as a leader wherever you are working, whichever position you have to be a role model. So that is all about the clause number 4 in the standard. And then we have within the 4 there is like a management system scope which must be clearly defined. And then we have PDCA, plan, do, check, act. And number 5 is all about leadership and worker participation. It's no more one-man show. It's a teamwork. Everyone have to participate. Everyone have to realize, yes, safety, quality, and credibility, I'm also equally responsible to make sure, you know. So in leadership, you require worker participation, and then you start doing planning. And then you implement through your support and operation, you support each other, you achieve operational excellence. That is clause number 7 and 8. And 9 is once things are implemented, the standard is implemented, all policies and procedures, now it's time to evaluate your performance. And after evaluation, you will get, of course, some opportunities for improvement and take some actions, act and go for improvement. So 10 clauses are there of ISO 45001. I can give you one more suggestion for your career. If you want to be a safety auditor, you can go with ISO 45001 and complete your first might be internal auditing course and then lead auditing course. Then based on this certificate, along with the certification body, you directly apply to CQI, IRCA, IRCA, and they will a little bit evaluate. And once you approved as a safety auditor, or especially for ISO 45001, you can work globally with TUV, with SGS, with DNV, with, you know, Intertech. A lot of certification bodies are there, so you can work as an auditor. And once you will be working as an auditor and you will be getting a lot of experience of different companies, then you might can start your career even as a trainer or as a consultant also, you know. And all my Saudis, I always encourage them, you know, learn, train yourself and start your own business. If I would be the Saudi, trust me, you will see maybe the companies everywhere with my brand name. Because your country, Saudi Arabia, is kind of a land of opportunities. But first, you can get a lot of benefit as a Saudi. You know. For us, it's not easy for sure. But for you, you can start even from a small scale. And then from small scale, I have noticed several businesses and now their scale is so big. Because they are Saudis, for them it's more easy to interact with Saudis, getting business, supporting each other. And you don't cheat to each other also. That is another good thing, you know. So might be in future, you can bring a certification body with your name because you are the safety auditor, you are the quality auditor, you are the environmental auditor. You have all the lead auditing courses. So you can request to the accreditation body or the certification body, please, I need a franchise in Saudi Arabia, and start your certification business. And hire freelancer auditors or maybe the regular salary based auditors and see how you can move on with your business plans in. So it's up to you how much you want to expand. I hope it will give you some motivation to all of you. If you'll not be Saudi, might be I'll not give suggestions for the businessman, you know. Now, this is end of module 2.1. So what do you think? What are the key elements of ILO OSH health and safety management system? Do you remember that? Even though in the presentation we have studied, do you remember the key elements of ILO OSH 2001 health and safety management system? And the first word was policy, then organizing. What was the third word?
Implementation.
Excellent, excellent, Marshall. And the fourth word? It's a bit of, the good thing is now we don't need to remember anything. It's all game of research and browsing and, or having all the standards with us. So immediately we can see, But some important points as a professional, people or our company management or our stakeholders, they expect us to remember. Like I told, policy, organizing, planning and implementation. The fourth one is little bit in organizing pattern. Logically, whatever is coming in your mind, just mention. Either you'll do evaluation or you'll do,
Effectiveness, right?
okay. And then of course you'll go for improving, like you'll go for improvement for sure. So the answers are already in the presentation, or you can search ILO OSH 2001 standard, and you can download this standard and you will find all these steps, all 5 steps. Now, the next element, let me see the time. So yeah, we still can continue, but still I'm thinking why not to have at least 5 minutes break. So then we'll start again, inshallah. Okay, 5 or 10 minutes and we'll start again, and later on we'll go for lunch break and prayer break. Is it okay?
Yeah, okay.
Thank you very much. So I just have shared few of the documents in the group. So I'll keep sharing when whatever I would feel is relevant to your studies or is important. So humble request, feel free to get some time at least and go through it, and it will give you more clarity, inshallah, about NEBOSH theories, inshallah, through these standards. Now, the next element we have making the measurement system work the health and safety policy. Making the management system work the health and safety policy. So let's discuss this important document in detail. First of all, it's a foundation stone for good health safety management system in our organization, like we discussed earlier. It will definitely sets out the organization's aims. It will identify who is responsible for achieving these aims and state how the aims are to be achieved and specific to each organization's requirements. But yes, it shouldn't be confused with policy in the health and safety system model. So bear in mind, it's kind of a foundational framework on a kind of a foundation stone, for good health and safety policy for management system actually. Like if you say we have safety management system, but when someone asks, do you have a safety policy? And you're going to say, no, we don't have. We directly started from procedures. So without policy, nobody even would agree that you have complete management system in place, Now, 2 questions. Why might the health and safety policy of 2 organizations be different? And why isn't there a prescribed one-size-fits-all approach to develop a policy? For here, let me share one experience. Normally, the trend in the market is just a copy-paste. People don't realize their business nature is different. Their processes, their kind of, even the location of their business and the regulations of each country are entirely different. No doubt, some are similar as per international regulations, but mostly countries, they love to have their own legal structure. So what I mean is that one policy can't be fit for all sort of companies. Like if I get Sadara policy, how Saudi Aramco can follow the same policy? Or Saudi Aramco policy everywhere, how other companies can follow the same one, while their business nature is entirely different. Yes, if it is within the same scope of work, like, or the business nature, like in oil and gas. So yes, uniform policy would also be working, but still the nature of your products or nature of your processes still will make you bound to amend something within the policy. So that's why the same one policy can't fit everywhere. Now I want your opinion. Why might the health and safety policy of two organizations be different? What is your opinion on it? Why might the health and safety policy of two organizations be different?
Because they might have different goals for each organization.
Okay. Any other opinion, please?
I think because they have different products. Aram concentrate in oil, while Sadara in chemicals. For this reason, some of the standard will be not applicable. But
Okay.
in general, it is related to human safety. It will be the same.
Excellent, mashallah. Now, let me share one case study with all of you that is personally observed by myself. In one of the company, I can't quote the name because we have signed confidentiality statement, with our client. So I can't quote the name, unfortunately, but still I have no harm to share that kind of a case study. The challenge was the company have different kind of rig sites in Saudi Arabia. And what they claim is we have much better than system from Aramco. So why should we follow Saudi Aramco system, to manage our rigs while serving to Saudi Aramco? Because our system is more easy to understand. These were some kind of their, arguments. Because I signed this project as a risk assessor or kind of a gap analyzer actually. I'll just be visiting all their rig sites. And comparatively, my job was to tell them between your standards and Saudi Aramco standards, what is the difference? Where you both are not integrated with similarity, But that client, he was focusing, convinced to Saudi Aramco, we will not follow your standards because our standards are much better than your standards. While on the other side, I was requesting to that client, look, you are only one more contractor, subcontractor of Saudi Aramco. So don't challenge their system. Otherwise, you will be out of the market. How come you are telling Saudi Aramco, having 82 years experience, and telling them demolish their system and follow your system on their rig sites, So it's a terrible clash. So don't put me inside that clash, Even though the top management of that company was involved and we had a meeting and I shared the whole gap analysis, and everybody started saying, still our system is better. We will not accept Aramco system. We will still argue with them. And Aramco was have a simple statement. Okay, you have a better system, but make sure first you comply with our system. The rest of the system you follow your own, but we will not compromise with our requirements. And they were also right on their side because they are the salary payers. They are the customer. how come you can teach to your customer the way with your arrogance or kind of your, I would say silly professionalism, because you should never argue in that way with your customer. Otherwise, you'll stuck all your projects and the horrible outcome for sure. And later on, Ramco officials, they straight away mentioned, if you will not accept and follow our GIs, our systems, be ready to get out of the Saudi Arabia even. And the moment they got that threat, I still remember immediately, immediately they mentioned, oh, just please Ishtiyaq help us. And they signed another contract with me, update our procedures as per Saudi Aramco standards. So it will make our life easy, And the moment we started upgrading all their policies and procedures, a lot of new things we were bound to integrate as per Aramco standards. And now Aramco is happy and they are also happy. So sometimes our professional arrogance is also making our customers unhappy. That's why, I mentioned earlier, the customer service training is so much important. So same way, if to one policy you are trying to fit everywhere, it will create a terrible clash, Like you have your Sadara safety policy, and same way you're going to tell to SABEC or Royal Commission, look, we will follow our policy. We don't respect your safety policy. So what would happen? Of course, the terrible clashes, right? And both sides would be affecting their businesses. So it must be avoided. And if you go back and just verify the policies of your subcontractors, like Sadara's subcontractors or contractors, you will be shocked. Mostly the copy paste policies are there. Even if you ask them, do you know what is written in the policy? Do you understand what you have claimed in the policy? Mostly they will say, no, unfortunately, we couldn't find time even to read our safety policy. So it's a very critical subject, by the way, but I'm giving, the live experience, what I faced. And luckily, the outcome was very positive. Yes, debate was there. Some over-aggression also been faced in the meetings, but ultimately, we found the solution, alhamdulillah. Now, one more question. Why is an organization's health and safety policy is important? That's also we discussed in the presentation, why that safety policy is important, because it's a framework, it's a foundation, cornerstone of our business. It's a kind of a commitment which we can highlight to all the interested parties. And in the policy, we are claiming we will not violate any legal laws. We are claiming zero injuries. We are claiming no accident, no, harm to the environment. We are claiming that we will keep happy to our customers by following their standards, also their expectations as well. Or we are claiming our neighbor community or our community will not be affected because of our company operations. And we are claiming that we'll make sure the employees' welfare or basic. So you are writing so many things. And also, this is the first most important document of your management system, So you can say it's kind of a front leader of your management system. So you surely have to keep it important everywhere and make sure it is well displayed, communicated, understood by all the employees. You can do some interviews even employee to employee and ask them, do you understand what is our health and safety policy? And if you get the picture horribly, bad picture, God forbid, that nobody understands, then this is the time to train them or retrain them again and make this policy more easier to understand. Maybe some dual languages or multiple languages, I don't know how many nationalities you have. At one project, I counted up and we found 22 different nationalities working on one project. So how come the same English language can work there? Even Saudi Aramco started developing their regulations and standards and GIs even in future in multiple languages, because they don't want to see any communication gap, that people would feel hardness to understand. So why might two organizations doing similar work have different policies? Because the size of the business, the nature of the business, the number of employees, the location, the city regulations, the country regulations, even the type of even maybe different customers even. That's why it's hard to keep similarity, Now, as per ILO recommendation R164, Article 14, is clearly defined, requires employers to set down in writing policy and arrangements for health and safety management, where circumstances warranted, in a readily understood language or medium. Now, readily understood language. Like if you have more Filipinos, let's take an example, and they understand English well or hard to understand Arabic, they can't read, even they can't write, even they can't understand. Speaking some word, if we are living in Saudi Arabia, of course, speaking would be little bit shoya. We can kalam, right? Otherwise, what would be the right strategy as per the language nature of our employees? No harm to have multiple languages to be, so we can translate our document in Arabic, in English, in Kerala, in Urdu, in Hindi, and this process is started by Saudi Aramco also. Now, there must be a statement of intent that what is going to be done. Clearly, we have to mention an organization who is going to do it and arrangements how they are going to do it. And you must be very much clear about setting all your overall aims and objectives. Make sure it is complying with law. Make sure achieving some standards. You can note down in the bottom, this policy or this document is complying with how many standards. You can remind to the workers at all levels of their responsibilities, and make sure it is well signed and dated by the most senior person. And there must be some regular review also. And yes, you have to set your SMART objectives and make sure they are specific, measurable, achievable, reasonable, and time bound as well. Here, I really want to discuss in detail, how are we going to make sure? Let's take an example. We want to set some safety objectives. First of all, can you give any example of your safety objectives? Example of safety objectives. Any example? Or you can share your Sadara safety objectives, if you don't mind. What are your safety objectives? Any example? Okay, Mr. Abdulaziz, you mentioned 0 injuries, and Mr. Muhammad Al Ghamdi, you mentioned, 10 near miss reports per year. Okay, or less than 10 near miss reports per year. Now, this 0 injuries, is it specific? Is it measurable? Is it achievable? No, I will stop on the word achievable. Can it be done? 0 injuries everywhere within Sadara. And if you have 50 projects throughout Saudi Arabia, is it achievable or reasonable? how are you going to make it measurable, by the way? Because, okay, let me give you one practical example. Like in 2020, you have 20 minor injuries. Just an example, God forbid. 20 minor injuries. And you have that clear data. Even these injuries were reported, interrogated, corrective preventive actions were well implemented, and reoccurrence was avoided. Now, 2020 data is there. Now you are going to set a smart objective for 2021. So what should be your objective actually? Or you will still go with 0 injuries? Because 0 injuries not achieved in 2020. You have 20 minor injuries. So how would you set, how you will chop up that elephant, you know? Like if you have 20 minor injuries in 2020, so in 2021, you means you will have 0 injuries. And you are expecting it will be achieved. It's not bad, to be very honest, to have such kind of targets, because ultimately our goal must be 0 accidents, 0 injuries, 0 harm to the environment, and 0 customer complaints even. Excellent, Mr. Abdulaziz. It's supposed to be easy to achieve and track. Yes. Because I analyzed 2020 and even I analyzed in January 2 minor injuries, in February, in March, in April of 2020. And I have a clear trail, you know, in which month, in which process, in which department more injuries are happening. And I'll get that focus area. I'll evaluate that data. And then we'll set my smart objective for 2021. Like I can set an objective comparing to 2020, we will ensure, we will try to achieve the minor injuries shouldn't be more than 10. So that means you are, what you are setting objective reduction, 50% reduction in minor injuries comparing to 2020. Now this objective is measurable. No, it is easily measurable because you clearly mentioned comparing to 2020, 50% reduction in minor injuries. So that's what NEBOSH theories are mentioning. You know, our objectives while you are setting must be specific, measurable, achievable, reasonable, and time bound also. Like in 12 months, you will achieve and you will make sure 50% reduction in injuries comparing to 2020. I hope you got the point. Excellent, AB. To be very honest, this is good thing even for me to learn, mashallah. Thank you very much. That's another great method, by the way, and quite straightforward. Whatever, you know, the things are there, 10% positive improvement must be there, and 10% you have to decrease the negative side of that area. Excellent, mashallah. Excellent. But still we have to go into depth and clarify, you know, what are our targeted areas where we are setting our objectives and achieving month by month or year by year or quarterly or whatever. It's up to you. It's up to your organization. But great example, mashallah. There is one method followed, which is to increase the positive items by 10% and decreasing the negative one by 10%. Thank you very much, AB. Trust me, this is a great idea and more easy for people to understand. Just that means you just prove you are continually improving. You just have to prove through your systems, you are continually improving. Either it's a safety system, quality management, you have waste management, whichever system is there, even environmental management, just prove that you are improving, even by 10%. Excellent, Marshall. Okay, now setting smart objectives. These are some of the suggestions from Saudi Aramco. It will be important to consider who is going to set the objectives. Are you individually going to set, or is a teamwork, or is the management wants to decide all objectives and agree with each department or each individual? How objectives will be set at each functional level, legal and other requirements. No harm to evaluate hazards and risk and technological options, financial, operational, and business requirements, views of interested parties. I always encourage, especially to the safety managers, don't suggest so much expensive solutions to the top management. Otherwise, they will stop listening to you. I repeat again, don't share so much expensive safety improvement ideas with your management. Find out the competitive way to create a win-win situation to comply with the requirements. And on the other side, of course, the management would appreciate that you are not killing their finances, to reducing or affecting their bottom line, the profit, the net profit, or the gross profit, another way around. Let me share one case study. One of the gentlemen, he was supposed to hire me as a safety consultant. So he approached me, he mentioned, said, look, I have discussed with my management, even though I'm working as a safety manager. He's Saudi, he's a very nice guy, mashallah. So he mentioned, I want you as a safety consultant with me. So because I'm unable to convince company management for several things. So I asked him, can you give me one example where you are facing problem that the top management is not agreeing with you? And I still remember he mentioned, sir, I want fire resistant coating on the walls, on the doors, everywhere, fire resistant paint, fire resistant doors. And I asked him, have you calculated the cost? How big covered area you have? How many doors are there? What is the wall size? Each room size? Because everywhere, how many chemical storage areas you have? What is the size of your warehouse? And he mentioned, okay, I will talk to my finance and accounts manager and I'll get back to you. And the moment he calculated, the cost was in millions. And nobody asked about such kind of improvements, because no civil defense violation was there, no violation or any kind of observation from Baladia side or even from Madon, nobody asked them to do it, even though it should be done, to be very honest, because if we are having some restricted areas or kind of sensitive areas or prohibited areas or hazardous areas, we must make sure that everything is fire resistant. Even if it's a chemical storage area, even our light should be fireproof or ATEX approved. In other words, the even bomb blast is there, God forbid, but still these lights are staying in their situation also. No harm to have this, but putting management in trouble by giving a lot of expensive ideas, they will not like you. And once you are disliked by the management, they'll stop cooperating with you. And that means your job is going to be more tougher. If your top management is not with you, then realize this is not your place. So later on, he stopped giving these ideas and he chopped up the elephant. Okay, sir, first we focus only chemical storage area. We will have fire resistant coating. We will make sure the lights are fireproof. We'll make sure, the addressable fire safety system is there. So he chopped up the elephant. I guided him, select one area, make it role model, show to the management and tell them this is what I was suggesting. And now we have no violation of any fire safety standards of any our legal departments, no violation is there. So what I mean is prove it with your actions and then see the response from the management. And later on, mashallah, he started working and the management started listening him also. Instead of giving him a lot of expensive ideas, start with small ideas and get small budget and start improving area wise, process wise, even activity wise, I would say. Because we, as a safety leader, we are responsible for every nook and corner of the company. All processes, activities. Even in one company, we might be surprised. We develop an SOP or a kind of a procedure, even how to staple the pins, because we noted, some this while stamping, the hand injuries are there or finger injuries are there. And we develop, oh, this is the way, this is step number 1, step number 2, this is how you have to staple the pins. So it's up to what, it is no doubt up to us how much we want to go deeper and deeper to establish the safety system. But ultimately, it's a cost also. So bear in mind, the top management, they don't like expensive ideas, especially related to safety. So be careful with those ideas. Now, it will be important to consider who is going to set the objectives, how objectives will be set at each functional level. You have to consider legal other requirements, hazards and risks, technological options, financial, operational and business requirements, views of interested parties. I also committed one silly mistake. In one of the projects, I suggested to the management, look, these machines, these are the oldest machines. Always the noise level will be, above than 90 decibel. So this violation is hard to remove because the machines are very old. So do one thing, remove all the machines and bring new. I could have tell them, remove one by one, which is more terrible, like, target one machine and then the second one, next year the third one, then the fourth one. So through this way, and they started through your way, that means we have to invest $30 million, bringing new machines and, removing these old machines. And now these are scrap machines, but today we are getting some production from these machines, So why you are suggesting so much expensive ideas? So don't suggest expensive solutions to your company. Now, financial, operational, business requirements, views of interested parties. Yes, if your customer will say, remove this machine, we don't want to see even a single product from that machine, which is the oldest one, expired one, the shelf life is expired, is depreciated in your accounts books. Bring the new one, otherwise we will cancel the order. Then the company have no option. If they want this customer to be with them, they'll remove and bring new one because they have volume. They have orders, for more orders of that product from which will be produced from that machine actually. Yes, please, it's prayer and lunch break. So
Yeah, let's go for break.
yeah, so please come back at 1. Thank you very much. I was very much attached, so forgot to give you break. Thank you very much for reminder. In the scenario, surely they'll be mentioning, something about roles and responsibilities of different functions of different persons within the scenario. But again, comparatively, we have to dig out and find out either they were fulfilling their responsibilities as per NEBOSH theories or as per OSHA or as per ILO or as per some other standards. So comparison is important there. Again, I would mention if you believe they are not fulfilling their responsibilities as a whole, what they must do in the scenario, then go for debate and mention, yes, they have failed few of the responsibilities, but below are the missing responsibilities which they ignored actually. And that is why this incident happened. And that is why, they couldn't ensure the effectiveness of health and safety management system within their company, So what I mean is, it's not like always agree for everything in the scenario. You have a full right to go for debates, but again, based on your authentic references and your logics and your technical expertise must be provable, in front of NEBOSH examiners. And they like, by the way, they truly like such people who truly debate based on the logics and based on the standards even, and they are getting, by the way, more marks even. So make sure you are not going to agree blindly for everything in the scenario. If you believe still company, even though they are following a lot of safety rules, but still something is missing, highlight that something with the references in your answer, Either they are asking the question relevant to roles and responsibilities, or asking the questions relevant to direct or indirect cost, or asking the question relevant to PTC even. So just go with your detailed analysis as per your, mashallah, study, whatever we are talking and learning from each other. But make sure you are capable to give the references also. Now, organizational roles and responsibilities, it's a game of outline, the chain of command for health and safety management. You must have to identify the roles and responsibilities of the staff. Usually includes an organizational chart actually relating to health and safety, and shows lines of communication and feedback. So this is just an example in the next slide. Make sure, this structured approach is followed for organizational chart, or we call it organogram as well, starting with your managing director, or maybe starting from president of your company, and then board members, then CEOs, and then go with the managing director. But as per NEBOSH, what they're expecting is, at the top, make sure you have managing director. And managing director, this health and safety advisor directly must be reporting to managing director, And of course, they'll be reporting at some level to the directors also, but ultimate, they are responsible to work along with the vision of business vision of managing director, because he knows what are the business expansion plans, or what are the business goals, and how you have to line up all your safety goals along with your business plans. That's why the health and safety department must be reporting to the top management, especially the general manager or the managing director. Now here is a big clash in the market, and I hope you also have noted it. We give safety manager and safety supervisor and officer under project manager or under operation manager. How come they can work effectively if you put them under operational department? Because operational department, they are going to do a lot of silly things, for completing their project and meeting their deadlines. And safety department, if they are working under their leadership, how come they can highlight any opportunities for improvement or any non-compliance or kind of observations, and to whom they will report? Because in the hierarchy, you mentioned you have to report to project manager or to operation manager. Then the process is over. This, for such kind of organizational chart, remember this health and safety team is just a formality, because project manager, he will never let them stop any process, even the dangerous activities are going on, or kind of unsafe acts or unsafe conditions are there, still he will not let them stop, because he knows they are reporting to me. So this is the terrible mistake I personally also noted in the market. And whenever I work as a QHSE manager or as a HSE manager, I always, accepted the job based on to whom I'm going to report. And if a company is saying you have to report only to the CEO or the managing director or the general manager, I still accept it. But if they're gonna say, okay, you have to report to project manager or operation manager, no, you will not achieve something productive, or you will not implement some sort of safety rules and regulations, what you are expected, from the legal authorities to implement. So make sure now in your hierarchy, if you don't mind, what is written in Sadara's hierarchy? I mean, if you are a safety manager, to whom you will be reporting actually? If you are a safety manager, to whom you will be reporting?
The safety director.
Safety director. Now, this safety director is reporting to whom?
To each NSNS executive director.
Excellent, mashallah. See, this is the kind of highly professional hierarchy or organizational hierarchy. This is what I'm talking about. But imagine if safety director is bound to report to the general manager or the project manager or the operation manager or even to the the managing director, in other words. And above than that, CEO is there, president is there, board members are there, but he is bound to report the fifth level of function. Still, he would be unable to catch up a lot of key issues to resolve. But anyhow, as per NEBOSH, they clearly mentioned if you have managing director at top, below that, make sure you have some directors, but health and safety advisor will be reporting to managing director. And yes, all other functions he'll be supporting for sure. He'll be advising, he'll be giving services, because health and safety, mostly we are a service department. So we'll be supporting each function. But yes, ultimately we have to report to managing director, all performance of the organization in health and safety. Same way, the managers, under managers, we need supervisors, and then under supervisor, you will see foremen also, or directly to the employees. This is a health and safety organizational chart. Now, define responsibilities for the CEO or managing director, ultimately responsible and accountable. They can't give any excuse, oh, I'm not responsible, only the safety manager is responsible. Such kind of excuse will not be accepted. Management responsible for day-to-day management, and all employees responsible for acting safely. So they will not do anything silly or any kind of unsafe acts. Now, employees have tendency, like yesterday someone highlighted, the shortcut. That means they will not act safely. So by choice, if employees are taking shortcuts without any pressure from the management side, then ultimately they are also responsible. And that must be interrogated. And here we required maybe some one-to-one counseling or some kind of warning system to be in place. But make sure you have trained them how to act safely, And that is why the competent persons, first aiders, fire marshals, each function must be trained, third-party certified, and they are the right person for the right job. And same way we require specialists, health and safety practitioners responsible for providing advice to support to the management and employees. So everyone is responsible actually.
You're on mute, huh?
Yes, my voice is clear. Is it okay?
Yeah,
Yes,
no,
no,
it's okay.
fine.
Actually, someone came and he was supposed to talk to me. So I told him later we'll discuss inshallah. Okay, so these are some of the general topics where we need to make sure people understand, like carrying out risk assessments. And here, as a consultant, mostly I always motivate to the relevant departments to do risk assessment by yourself. And yes, you can get support from safety officials or safety leaders. You can get some insights from their side, but do it by yourself, because you know your processes better than anyone else. You are spending 12 hours every day or 8 hours per shift every day with those processes. So you complete risk assessment, you suggest what better controls must be there, against each hazard or kind of risk. And then yes, as an advisor or as a supportive department, safety can review it and they can suggest some amendments, or they can review in line with the different international standards also. And based on that, make sure the information, instruction and training is given. Accident and near miss reporting, recording and investigation. These are the general topics. Everybody must be focusing on that. And consultation with worker. Now, what is the difference between informing and consulting? I repeat again, what is the difference between informing the workers or between like communicating with the workers? So what is the difference between these two methods of communication? Consultation and information. And which one is more effective by the way?
I think more effective is communication. When you communicate, that means this new process is already done and published. You need just utilize it in the work. Information, I think, it's just matter of extra precautions or anything could be information.
Okay, so consultation, like two-way communication. So consultation is more effective rather than just informing, just sending an email and your job is done. No, it's not acceptable. You have to consult with the workers. So yes, this is kind of a direct involvement, developing safe systems of work and welfare and first aid provision, and of course, fire safety and prevention, emergency procedures, compliance monitoring, including auditing. Any one of you have attended any safety auditing courses ever in past in your career? Have you done any course related to safety auditing? Yeah, so Mr. Abdulaziz, you would have an idea what kind of systematic approach is there to conduct different kind of audits, and of course you have an idea how to plan internal audits and how to even, if you are a auditing team leader, then how you will be selecting the right person for the right job, like as an internal auditor, and how are you going to make sure they are cross-checking or cross-auditing to each other's departments and finding the right way, centralized way to improve further for each function of the organization. So this auditing, if you just improve your skills as an auditor, a great career you can establish. Even if you like develop your skills as a consultant, again a better career. Even as a trainer, more opportunities in front of you. Even as a safety advisor, a lot of opportunities. Even as a safety leader or kind of safety manager. So what I mean is just one word. You select either are you going to be the auditor, or are you going to be the trainer or consultant or the manager or the supervisor. It's entirely depends on your professional goals. But what I mean is one word, competence or kind of highly skilled, professionally sound can make you so much successful anywhere in the world, inshallah. And this is how I'm motivating, especially to my Saudi friends, because since this is your country, so you must be managing all the functions, and then later on, if something is missing, we the experts can support for sure, but ultimately your country means must be managed by yourself. Now, can you think of any specific health and safety hazards? Can we prepare a list of hazards here? In the chat box, list of hazards. List of hazards, please, in the chat box. The categories of NEBOSH. What exactly they have mentioned. So might be you can note down, or otherwise I would appreciate if you can browse and search, and you will find the physical and physiological hazards, musculoskeletal health hazards, and also chemical and biological agents, general workplace issues, work equipment, fire and electricity. Now let's go with examples. Can you give some examples of biological hazards? Examples of biological hazards. Whatever is your understanding, let me see what kind of examples are coming in your mind. Excellent. Examples of biological hazards. Yes, medical waste and decontaminated or contaminated water. Anything else is coming in your mind? Yeah, Hamad, this COVID-19 coronavirus is also an example of biological hazards. Insect hazards. Okay, so you want to take them, Mr. Abdulaziz, into biological, or you will just get bacteria and virus or germs, and bloodborne pathogens. Have you ever heard the word bloodborne pathogens? Yeah, example bee bite. Yes, agreed. That means the blood and body fluids even. Harmful plants can also be there. Some people, they are very much allergic with different plants. Even animal and this kind of bird dropping, that also comes under biological hazards. So in fact, you can remember 5 words like bacteria, any kind of viruses, insects, plants, birds and animals. They all comes under biological hazards. Now, can you just give some examples of chemical hazards? Examples. Yes, Mr. Abdulaziz, they are reactive. So reactive, corrosive, acidic chemicals, yes. Irritants, and this chemical, like yesterday we discussed, we found in shape of liquid, in shape of gas, in shape of solid as well. So which one is more dangerous? The invisible one in shape of gases. Like, let's take an example of H2S. It's a chemical, right? The chemical hazard, H2S, hydrogen sulfide, the silent killer, the monster, and it can kill within minutes, if the ppm level is 1000 ppm or even more than that, it can kill in seconds. And the terrible part about H2S, or the invisible enemy of human beings in shape of H2S, it can paralyze your sense of smell, and that means you never know how much you inhaled or took inside. And the more H2S inside, that means it will consume all the oxygen, because it is soluble in water. That means in our bloodstreams, it can mix and penetrate and remove all the oxygen, and no oxygen is equal to no life. That means no messages from the brain and no heart pumping. That's why the person required immediately resuscitation, or otherwise there will be no more, God forbid. And terrible mistake sometime emotionally we do. Somebody became unconscious because of H2S, and now we are giving him water to drink, and we have no idea how dangerous this could be. And on the other side, we know it's colorless, heavier than air, and approximately 20% heavier than air, this H2S. And on the other side, if I remember exactly, the LEL or UEL of H2S only for this gas, like it's 4.3% LEL, lower explosive limit, and upper explosive limit is 43%. So within this range, it can have a fire by itself or even explosion, And because it is approximately 20% heavier than air, so mostly we find it in lower areas, especially excavated areas, or the areas or the confined spaces, any kind of confined spaces. And several examples are there, including in oil and gas. Even the pipelines are confined spaces, excavated trenches are confined spaces, even the GOSP refineries everywhere, or even the manholes, silos, all we get, the possibility of H2S. And even at a certain level, we feel rotten egg smell, but still we as a, trainer, we recommend never rely on your nose. Actually, you must have a T40 rattler or portable gas monitors, or even fixed gas monitors attached with the alarm system, so people can be immediately be familiar and get a warning and go to the muster point and save their life. And same way, the carbon monoxide and some other ammonia and other toxic gases. And the problem with H2S, the moment you burn it, it creates another toxic gas, sulfuric acid or sulfur dioxide. And when you SO2 and H2S and SO2, when you get them together, you get another corrosive gas. We call it sulfuric acid, which is more corrosive. That means more dangerous, especially for the metals. So in every shape, except the laboratories, because in laboratories we use H2S for calibration, or wherever we use by product, all other is a danger zone, we can't play with H2S. So, mashallah, if you are understanding types of hazards or categories of hazards, you surely have to remember examples of some hazards, and ultimately the goal is how to control them, how to eliminate them, how to isolate them. These are some of the specific risk and problems, like lone working, noise exposure controls, vibration exposure control of exposure to toxic materials, And let me just share one presentation here to have how to recognize the hazards, through some pictures. Other than NEBOSH, let me open one presentation. So since we are talking about hazards, so let's have a group exercise. And I'm expecting, since you are experienced also, so inshallah you will spot the hazards quite quickly. So I'm showing one picture. Number one, can you identify the hazards? Identify the hazards, out of this picture. It's just a picture. You're not going live there. Okay, so sparks means a sign of or a possibility of fire hazard. Because nearby you have compressed gas cylinder. Uncontrolled spark. Okay. Ignition sources there. Yes, A, B. Abdulaziz, you are absolutely right. Uncontrolled sparks are there. Do you think any gravitational hazard is there? Something can fall down? Or any electrical hazard?
Yeah, there is
Mechanical
the
hazard?
crane remote. I think hit crane remote. It's laying beside the cutting beam, right?
Yeah.
So there is electrical hazard here.
Exactly, because this is, and also gravitational, because if we cut, the center of gravity is not okay. So it can fall down even. What do you think? Overall shop floor management is acceptable, or kind of housekeeping or standardization or set an order or sortation, or the overall shop floor management, or you believe this area is congested and itself is a kind of unsafe condition overall? Because at a time so many processes are going on. And overall, what about the ventilation? Or the fumes coming from the welding process, and the person, several fumes he is inhaling, And with this compressed gas cylinder, I call them tickling bombs. If you don't manage them properly through flashback arrestor or through best practices, even they'll be more dangerous, And no fire extinguisher. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. So wherever we'll be visiting, whenever we want to identify the hazards or the risk, we just need to create a picture of that area in our mind. And immediately we will find out, oh, electrical hazard, fire hazard, mechanical, gravitational, even motion or pressure or different kind of categories. But we'll definitely study as per NEBOSH for sure. And they highlighted 8 or 9 categories only. Now look at another one. So overhead power lines, that means electrical hazard was there. And how someone can ignore, the electrical wires actually. Take another example, just on a quick manner, so you can have a little deeper understanding how unsafe facts and conditions are mixing together, or kind of bad practices, because we are dealing with human brains and every brain is unique and different. And you never know which brain is going to act unsafely. If you will not monitor, if you will not check them, yes, agreed, 3 points of contact are missing, even ladder steps are broken, even ladder size is not sufficient because 1 meter we required from the top edge, even the foot is not secure, even angle would also not be 75 degree. That means more chances of falling down. Now take an example of this hero. Now he's trying to take shortcut. Think about the forklift operator. This gentleman under the this suspended load. Look at the first aider. Even the manholes, manual lifting, the way he is coming, spillage, poor set in order, poor housekeeping, first aid box is unattended, and most importantly, the tripping hazard because wires are everywhere. Take another picture. Look at this gentleman. Sadara's employees will never do such things, but keep an eye on your contractor or temporary employees. Look at your fire exit doors and even the short ladder is there. Look at the suspended load under the suspended. Look at this gentleman, how he's lifting. Even the phone is being used and poor attentiveness. So horrible, unsafe conditions or unsafe acts. Take another example. Is it a right way to lift a box?
No, it should be
No.
carried from the under the box.
Absolutely right. And these floor damage is not acceptable. So housekeeping does not mean just removing dust from each element. No. Housekeeping means everything need to be standardized, proper set and order, no unnecessary items within that area or in any area. Proper labeling is there. Overall, the area is fully cleaned. Proper waste management is there. Take another picture. Look at this gentleman. One more picture for your understanding how things can go out of control just because of careless behavior. Nobody have an idea if it is to the pipes, even that is coming. Especially the horseplay must be avoided. Manhole is in front. Take another picture. And you will see mostly such situations in construction industry. Or the industries, you have second shift, like the night shift is also there. And more accidents in the data analysis, I personally noted even as an auditor, mostly accidents are happening in the night shift because there is a mindset that nobody is watching us. Just one foreman or supervisor is there. So how he can, even I found one of the supervisor without safety shoes and wandering here and there, because he knows nobody is coming to watch me. So this kind of mindset, how you're going to tackle actually? Even you provided PPs, you provided induction, trainings, everything you gave them. But if you are unable to change the mindset or the culture of your company for creating safe culture, or convincing them be the safety manager of your own area, they will do silly things. Look at the scaffolding, look at the, the way They are using the heavy equipments. Look at the lifting and the materials and the excavation is going on underground. Wires are ignored. So everywhere. So we can learn one picture is more louder than 1,000 words. So we have to be capable how to identify the hazards. And once we can identify the hazards, we know what is the control hierarchy. Like we'll go with engineering solutions, we'll try administrative controls, or we will go with PPs, or we'll eliminate or isolate. Take another picture, guys. And this is the real challenge to us as a safety leader. How are we gonna change the mindset? Because look at the no smoking board is there, but the mindset is this is the best place to smoke. And look at this lady, even the guard is there, but she doesn't want to use. Instead of safety courses, she likes bike riders. And look at the tripping hazard and slippage, oil slipping, spillage is there. Fire exit is blocked. Even hard hat area, but he doesn't want to wear. Look at the lifting technique. Okay, guys, so I hope it would have given you an idea how things can go in a terrible situation if you don't control. And once your employees are addicted with unsafe acts, addicted with bad habits, then it's become like a culture of your company, unsafe culture. And changing the culture sometimes required 3 years or 5 years. It's not easy for sure. That is why we apply BBS. I hope you have heard that word BBS. Anybody have an idea what is BBS stands for? Yes, AB, sure, either you resign or you accept the challenge to change everything. You have both options. But yes, mostly people will think, better to resign because nobody cares what is safety is all about. Okay, guys, so some of the specific risk and problems: control of crowds, exposure like toxic materials, transport risk, health surveillance requirements, and waste disposal. Now, how can a policy be effectively communicated? I'm leaving this question for all of you. Let me know with your voice or with your comments in the chat box. How can a policy be effectively communicated? You have a health and safety policy. How you would like to communicate with everyone, with all the stakeholders or interested parties? And when should it be reviewed? Okay. Yeah, Mr. Abdulaziz, we can display, we can send through emails, we can publish via website, we can share in the toolbox meetings, we can share through our daily, weekly, monthly safety meetings. And if it is something urgent, of course, stand down as well. Yes, no harm to do it. AB, this is one of the greatest challenge, I would say, to convincing people to accept the ownership. Accept the ownership and leadership of your own area. If you don't want to face any embarrassment that someone as a safety officer is coming every time and telling where is your helmet, why you are not ensuring housekeeping within your area, why you are doing horseplay in your area. If you don't want to face such kind of embarrassment or shameful kind of situations, then accept the ownership. and be the safety manager of your own area. And then nobody have any problem, you know. But the real challenge is how to convince them. Convincing them to please accept the ownership. Your area, your responsibility, your life, your responsibility, your safety, your responsibility. We are there to support, to serve, to advise, you know. Instead of you are thinking we will be your bodyguard for 24 hours, how come? You know, that is the mindset which truly need to be. But it's not easy to change, but not impossible as well. So we have to try. Excellent, mashallah. Thank you very much. These productive words, you know, accept the ownership and leadership of your area. And when should that policy be reviewed? You know, when do you review your safety policy? Annually or biannually or in your quarterly meetings or whenever there is a change, when you will review it. But it must be reviewed. It must be reviewed. That is important. Yes, Mr. Abdulaziz, every 3 years, no problem with that. But every year in your management review meeting, you have to write safety policy was reviewed, but no changes were recommended by anyone. Every department is satisfied with the same policy. You surely have to write, you know, these sentences actually. So it must be reviewed annually, even though no change within the policy, just the revision date or something you can mention, or it's reviewed, or you mention in the minutes of meeting that the health and safety policy were reviewed and all the department heads, they agreed the same policy can kept for next 1 year again, you know, and depends on the regulations as well. Totally agree, because drastically, especially because of COVID-19, now it's a new normal. So every policy is getting changed, by the way. I totally agree. So it depends on the regulations. We are getting a lot of new regulations. Now, you know, I'm telling this, this vaccination certificate against COVID-19 is becoming more important than a country's visa also, you know. Your visa is less important, now your vaccination certificate is becoming more and more important. Because that's how the regulations are changing the whole world, you know, because of this pandemic, because of this COVID-19. Totally agree, Marshall. Now, reviewing policy, make sure the changes in, if these changes are there as per NEBOSH theory, so no harm to review your policy, like first of all, key personnel, management structure, processes, technology, legislation, any changes into that, or following an incident as a result of enforcement action, after an audit, after workers' consultation or passage of time, at least annually, you know. So if such changes, and that's why we have one procedure, we call it MOC, management of change. So whenever there is a big change, we have to review. We have to review our risk assessments. We have to review our procedures, kind of SOPs, even the policies, you know. Okay, so what are the key 3 parts to health and safety policy? What type of targets must be referenced in the policy? We discussed in detail already. That was all about element number 2. In this element, we have discussed what is ILO OSH 2001, which can be summarized as a policy, organizing, planning, implementation, evaluation, and action for improvement and audit. We also discussed a little bit about ISO 45001, which is safety management system, especially the context of the organization, clause number 4, leadership and worker participation, clause number 5, planning, clause number 6, support and operation, clause number 7, support is 7 and operation is 8, and performance evaluation, clause number 9, and improvement is clause number 10 of ISO 45001. Now, identify to WASH policy of an organization, an important document which sets out what the organization's aims are with regard to WASH, who is responsible for achieving those aims, and how those aims are to be achieved. Explain the policy is usually presented in three parts, like the general statement of intent, the organization's section, and the arrangement section as well. Noted that WASH policies have to be reviewed in order to stay current and relevant, that reviews might be carried out periodically in response to the changes. Now imagine you got a scenario, and let me create a scenario like yesterday we discussed about forklift. Now let's talk about, there was a project going on in a confined space, and that was a oil storage tank. And because of some leaking, they got the project from the customer to weld that tank. And during this project, unfortunately, the gas testing, while for their first entry was done, but unfortunately, the regular gas testing was ignored. And they also ignored that LEL, lower explosive element, must be 0% all the time while performing hot work, especially in the confined spaces. So they ignored several, and that is why a sudden fire incident happened, and 2 persons immediately died or expired. 2 fatalities we found. Within that company, 1 HSE manager with 2 safety officers were responsible to make sure all the policies and procedures are in place and well implemented and even being followed. They were doing daily safety inspections of that area. The project manager was also directly involved. He was visiting frequently, but most importantly, the standby man, the confined space, entry, the work permit issuer, receiver, along with the customer, all were present to support that project. But still, the incident happened. Now, in line with this scenario, can you give the answers of below questions? Now, the first question is the organizational hierarchy was sufficient to manage this project? Was the responsibilities were fully allocated to the designated personals? What were the reasons of ignorance from the gas tester to ignore the gas testing results, or not to conduct gas testing, or having continuous gas monitoring? And in line with the scenario, what do you think? Is it an overall failure of the safety system? So what I mean is, from that scenario, we are creating different questions. And this is how NEBOSH is verifying our logical, technical knowledge, including our experience. If you are more experienced in safety, more easier for you to pass the exam actually. Otherwise, during the training, whatever we are learning, we truly need more focus. So, but this is the way to put a scenario in place and then several questions. Now, what I will do is, I will send you one scenario in the WhatsApp group. I repeat again, I will send one scenario in the WhatsApp group since you all are there. And I will share some questions also. But you will answer in a separate sheet, like an exam, I will give scenario in the WhatsApp with the questions, but the answers along with the questions you will prepare in Word and converting into PDF and share in the group. And comparatively, we will see, like yesterday, you gave some answers, and today, inshallah, I will evaluate which answer was more relevant and more productive. So let's make it a little bit more professional so we can have that data at the end. Ultimately, what is the best answer and how we have to respond to NEBOSH questions, and I'll be supporting and evaluating accordingly. I repeat again, I'll share one scenario along with 4 or 5 questions, but the answer sheet you have to use in Word actually, and convert in PDF with your name and share separately or in the group. If you have some shyness or hesitation, you don't want to share in the group, no problem, you can share personally, but I will definitely evaluate and ultimately share the best answers, inshallah. Not with your name, but definitely as a team. Okay, so I'm leaving some time today, and because I need to prepare one scenario what I spoke up right now, or maybe I can share some other, but I have to prepare that one along with the questions. So I need some time, and you need some time later on, might be at home or whenever, wherever you get time, even in your office, but you can share within next 2 days or even tomorrow. Okay, is it okay with you?